One of the things that had really made me apprehensive, I guess, about starting this writing channel was that the writing process is extremely boring. um, Obviously, not just the actual process of writing, but everything involved with it it's heavily boring. The act of it is and obviously the viewing and recording of just sitting at a desk and typing is obviously going to be very, very boring. And yet, today, it reminds me that the boredom and the sort of monotony of the writing process is where the success comes in. Your creative, the heights of your creative skill, the more impressive your work is, the more boring the process needs to be. Your art needs to be the thing that has the energy, not the process. Your life, as a writer, the process should be very boring. It should be very routine, very monotonous. That's where the skill development comes in. The excitement should be in the actual product itself. So what you write and what you create should be interesting, but the process itself should generally be boring. The idea of like the prima donna artist, the crazy wild musician, all that, it's an old trope. It worked well at some point, but most of the people that are putting out really good content tend to be pretty boring in their process. It's very routine. It's something that's ingrained in them, and it's not something that you look at and you think it's that interesting. It's only in the final product. And the reason for this is not so much that they are boring people, but that you need to have time to just focus and concentrate. And that deep work that comes through that comes from having an environment that's inherently dull. And so today, as I get a little bit closer, it's kind of reminding me how sort of how tedious this whole process is. And for those that do check out this channel, those that are watching it, and those that are maybe trying to take something away, I'm trying to impress at least a bit on the value of the routine, and also how much the process really is dull. Like a good reason to show this, and it doesn't obviously increase the view count, but the honest, kind of the honest position is to show the writing process and show sort of the dullness of it, the idea of just getting up and typing away on a computer. It's inherently something that no one's really going to find that interesting unless you are someone that's a writer and you want to see, all right, how does one start at the beginning and how does one go through all the different stages? And as you can see, the different stages really are just sitting at a computer and typing away. The mechanics is that. There's obviously more intricacies as far as like, sort of ideas in the process. It gets a bit more intricate on the mental side of things. But the actual act itself of writing, it's boring, it's dull, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And so as I kind of go through this and go forward with this, it's just something I want to reiterate, which is the process needs to be boring. Your writing process needs to be relatively dull. If you're someone that writes at sporadic times, if you're someone that writes, intermittently at these, unscheduled times where you just have a few moments left, in your day to write, if you tend to write, while on drugs, while intoxicated, whatever, any extra variables that you throw in there, that diminishes the creative work. As a general rule, the consistency and sort of boredom is where I think the true deep creative work comes in. It comes from that sort of quiet, sort of monotony. And so for those that are writing, I would encourage you to perhaps consider writing in a very controlled environment at a time that is scheduled every single day, as opposed to making things so sporadic and so exciting, as opposed to changing your environment and going to different locations to write every single day. For some people that works, maybe they get a kick out of the energy, but the more consistency that you can add to these variables, the better it's going to be. So that's kind of it for today. But what I'll do is I'll obviously be back tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow's Friday, which is awesome. Now that I'm back in the working world, it feels more interesting now. But yep, I'm back tomorrow, and yep, like I said, back to the keyboard and back to sort of the boredom and the tediousness of sitting at the desk.